I might still be a monster, but I'm an evolving monster.
You're listening to Dissecting Dexter.
Hey everyone, a belated happy Halloween to one and all. I'm your host, Gareth Watkins, and this is Dissecting Dexter. Thank you for joining me on this very wet and blustery November morning. It is the 1st of November as I record this. We are less than a week away for some of us, not me. We are less than a week away for the premiere of Dexter New Blood. Excitement has reached fever pitch out there in the ether. Fandom is just hopping up and down with glee at the prospect of rejoining our favourite lumberjack. It airs in the UK a day later than you guys in the United States, so the Monday after it airs, I'll be going dark on social media. Although obviously your feedback and comments about the episode are very welcome, so please get them in, because I will be recording a podcast to review episode 1 next week. But I don't get to watch it legitimately until it airs at I think it's 10 p.m. on the Monday night on Sky Atlantic. So UK viewers will be a day behind. So please be mindful when. It's tricky, isn't it? Because everybody will want to talk about it, and I guess go ahead if you want to post on the Facebook page. Then please do, and it'll just be with the caveat for viewers elsewhere to be mindful when looking on the page to try and dance around any spoilers. It's going to be difficult, isn't it, when we all watch it at different times? It's not like when something just drops on Netflix and we can all watch it at once, potentially, in theory. Well, why am I here today? That is a very good question. Why are we here? There's a question in itself. Why am I here today specifically? Well, I just wanted to check in. We are, as I say, a week away from the big day, but I had some something interesting happened last week that hopefully most, if not all of you, have had a chance to listen to. I had to keep quiet about it over the summer, but Showtime reached out to me earlier in the summer and asked, with in light of New Blood coming in a few months' time, whether I'd be interested in doing a collaboration with them. And it was all very vague and non-specific, but how could I say no? I never would. I never say no. So I said yes, and as you now know, it turned out to be recording a podcast on the official Dexter Wrap Up podcast with Scott Reynolds, of course, executive producer and long-term crew member of. He's one of the writers of Dexter. He's been involved since season 1, started as a writing assistant and worked his way up through the ranks to the lofty position of executive producer for New Blood, which is brilliant. And we had a chat, not just us, but actress Samantha Hanratty joined us as well. She's a big Dexter fan, and you'll see her in the new Showtime series Yellow Jackets that's coming up. I think it starts a week after New Blood. Previously, she's been in Shameless, the US version. That's probably possibly the biggest thing she's been in. Vampire Diaries. She was in an episode of Mad Men. She's worked with some great people. Anyway, we had a really nice chat. Leading up to it, I had to keep very hush-hush, of course. I was under NDA. So I simply wasn't allowed to talk about it. Anyway, the day came and we all gathered on a Zoom call. There were representatives from Showtime there. One or two I knew from communications that we'd been having over the summer in the lead up to the podcast. Scott Reynolds joined us, and Samantha. I have to confess I had some serious audio problems. My headset mic refused to work, which is why my audio quality on the podcast is a bit echoey. It sounds a bit like I'm recording from the toilet or somewhere like that. The following day, I went and invested in a proper mic, which is why my audio quality since has been better, I hope. But yeah, definitely, I was disappointed with that. But Yeah, we talked about Dexter for a good hour. And halfway through, Scott had his own technical issues. His internet cut out, and I think you can hear in his audio quality, it breaks up just a tiny bit. You can hear that there's a bit of interference there. His internet cut out at home, and he had to rejoin. So it was nice that I wasn't the only one with gremlins in the computer system. Anyway, yeah. So as I say, we chatted for a good hour. We talked about. Well, as you'll have gathered from the finished podcast, about highlights of the series. The finished podcast is only half an hour long, so obviously they heavily edited the conversation, and there's a lot more that we talked about that didn't make it in. Although I'm happy that most of my key points that I wanted to bring up made it to the finished podcast. There were a few things that I was keen to chat about. Obviously, I didn't want to sound like a noob, and when you build as a super fan, you don't want to come across like you've never watched it before. That would be disastrous. So I did my homework and prepped, and hopefully that comes across in the podcast. And I have to say thank you to everybody who's reached out, all the comments on social media. And compliments about the podcast. I really appreciate that. Very kind. Hopefully, we've garnered a few new listeners as a result of this. And if you are listening now and you're a new listener, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome, and I hope you'll stick with us through the coming season. Anyway, the podcast recording was a lot of fun. I was a bit nervous leading up to it, a bit nervous and excited, inevitably. But I soon relaxed. Scott was a cool guy and very relaxed, laid back manner, and was very welcoming and kind in giving me plenty of opportunities to speak. And I think the finished podcast, I think it flows pretty well. Occasions you can really tell where it's been heavily edited, and some bits sound a bit abrupt. Particularly, I thought my response to Scott when he introduced me, it sounds a bit clipped. But yeah, that's the editing. That's not me being abrupt. So really, yeah, I just wanted to stick something on the Dissecting Dexter feed in case there's anyone out there who doesn't subscribe to the official Wrap Up podcast and perhaps hasn't had a chance to hear this. If you don't subscribe to it, please subscribe. Scott has done a few episodes leading up to New Blood where he's had cast and crew on air to talk about their memories of the good old days and previewing what's to come. Michael C. Hall has been on, Jennifer Carpenter, Clyde Phillips, lots of good people, and there's been some really interesting chats. So do check that out, and I hope you'll have the time to check out my episode as well. I'm so proud to have been a part of it. It was an absolute honour to represent the fan community. I was humbled, really. Why me? And maybe I have to admit, I've not looked at the comments on YouTube, but I was anticipating comments on there along the lines of, why him? What makes him so special, this British guy? There's nothing special about me. I'm a fan of the show. This podcast, as long-time listeners will know, traditionally gets recorded in the car in my lunch break, and very humble beginnings, and is still a very humble production. Although I've been doing this 10 years, I don't consider myself an expert in podcasting, and I just enjoy doing this. It's a labour of love, and I do it because I love the show, and I love interacting with you guys. As I've talked about before, the feedback and the interaction I've had with the listenership is a massive part of the enjoyment I get from doing this, and I'm really looking forward to the coming weeks where we can hopefully get that going again. So please do send in whatever you want to say about the podcast or particularly Dexter itself. dissectingdexter@gmail.com is the email address, where you can also send an MP3 voice recording, voicemail, and get your own dulcet tones on the airwaves. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, so I'll bring this to a close, and let you all get back to whatever you were doing before. Thank you for listening, and we'll speak to you again very soon, and we will be dissecting some new Dexter. Isn't that bloody awesome? Never thought I'd be saying that again, but here we are, 2021, all these years on. Okay, we'll get together soon, won't we? Love it. Take care, guys. See you next week.